The fallout from Backlash has left lots of people very unhappy. So with Money in the Bank just 6 weeks away and all the excitement starting to build with qualifying matches aplenty, surely Raw and SmackDown can give us something entertaining, right? Well, let's find out if that's the case, as we strike them down with all the reckless abandon I can muster, and we'll see which one comes out on top. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling Rant. Both Raw and SmackDown were very wrestling heavy this week, so that means there isn't going to be much difference in terms of quality there. But I'll say this, Raw had quality matches coming out of its ears this week, and a lot of them filled up the good portion of the show. I mean, it's a 3-hour show, what the hell can I do in hiding some good points away from bad points, eh? Well, let's take a look at those matches that really made me spring up in excitement. Sasha Banks vs Ember Moon vs Ruby Riott was match of the damn night. I just wish that the crowd gave a crap. They were apparently going nuts about a couple getting engaged in the audience, and they really weren't paying attention, despite the fact that these women were completely kicking the crap out of each other out there. And it was quite spectacular. Ruby Riott's physical and aggressive moveset showed her well that she was incredibly different compared to most of the women on the roster, which makes her very exciting to watch, because on SmackDown I didn't really see much difference, but on Raw, considering how clean, efficient, and, well, simple the women's wrestling is, logically, you'd want to have someone who breaks the mold, and she does it, and Ember Moon is just spectacular. And Sasha Banks just does what she normally does. Careless risk-taking that looks amazing on camera for the most part. And this was just fantastic, and the surprise came from Ember Moon winning. I know, it's crazy. We had a Bayley interference to get rid of the Riot Squad members at the ringside to help Sasha out, to kind of, again, blur the lines between their ridiculously elongated potential feud starter, and logically, we got a surprise that no one saw coming that Ember Moon is going to be put into this match, despite that she hasn't had much build going into it. Well, she'll be doing a lot of things in it, and she won't be winning it, but I know it'll be a fantastic moment for her. The match was fantastic, I just wished the crowd gave more craps, really, because there's nothing I can say more than thinking, here's a fantastic in-ring contest that the crowd kind of overran with selfishness. Okay, congratulations to the couple who actually got engaged on that night, but you could have at least done it during a segment like, oh, I don't know, Kurt Angle's opening monologue? Because I would rather have had someone do it there and stop Braun Strowman's ridiculous storytelling than do it in the middle of a very athletic contest. But the match was still great, I can't deny that, and I'm not going to give it the best thing of the entire evening for it. The matches that followed up were pretty good as well, with Seth Rollins and Mojo Rawley for an Intercontinental Championship random match. And after what happened with Seth at the weekend, considering that he had a fantastic match with The Miz, I wouldn't have expected him to go so full out with another opponent. Here we go, we have Mojo Rawley putting on his best match in WWE with arguably the best in-ring talent they have at the moment. Now I know, you're going to say to me, well, Shinsuke and AJ Styles are incredible, they can put on all kinds of stuff. Yeah, but seriously, who is on more of a roll right now? AJ and Shinsuke or Seth bloody Rollins? I think you know the answer to that question, and it's showcased here as the mismatch of styles between heavy, hard-hitting and aggressive and very physical Mojo Rawley, who had facial expressions for days, went up against a guy who is incredibly athletic and very high-flying, mixed in with some hard-hitting strikes for good measure. It was a very good match, and Seth looked fantastic, as did Mojo, and it basically said to the world, Mojo is good enough to tangle with the best. Then again, you also had Zack Ryder just kind of standing around there just asking for an opportunity rather than taking it with the scruff of the neck. You can see why people want Mojo to succeed in WWE when Ryder just doesn't really do much. We'll get to Ryder in a bit because I do want to mention something regarding him. And the match was pretty good for an impromptu match with no story to it. It was enjoyable, it was fun, and even though the result was predictable, Rollins looked great, Rawley looked great, it made the second hour start off with a pop, and Rollins' promo at the beginning was nice, even though obviously stating that Miz wasn't a fighting champion as IC champ was a bit of a problem, considering he defended it against Roman Reigns week after week after week in the early part of the year. Just thought I'd mention that because it really is a good point to highlight. And the fact that Mojo Rawley's promo as well was simple, nothing spectacular, but you don't want to overdo it with him, because his range of emotion on the mic is minuscule in comparison to what he can do in the ring. So I'll give plaudits to the creative team on that. That's pretty good work there. Now we have the other match that was the best thing on this show this week, Kevin Owens versus Braun Strowman. I've already noted the segment prior to this was pretty bad. I mean, it was Kurt Angle massaging the crowd's ego, and logically, Braun Strowman doing the one thing he's not good at, telling elongated things on the mic. It lost me interest immediately, and I just thought, for God's sake, I hope this leads to something. And it did, because Kevin Owens rescued the segment with his amazing mic work, meaning I don't really have much room to talk about it. But the match that followed was just pure fun. Kevin Owens doing his heel shtick to the best of his abilities, being frustrated that he can't beat a guy twice his size, who seemingly can't be stopped, and of course, Strowman just laying all of those hands in by destroying Owens. And I don't mean that in a somewhat hyperbolic sense. I mean in a literal sense, because he went nuts. And I say that with good inference, because he went through, bulldozed him on the outside, which the crowd reacted to. Michael Cole lost it, and everyone just went, oh my god, how the hell is this even happening? And Strowman went through to the Money in the Bank qualifier with fair and ease, despite the fact that he was put in a real good challenge by Kevin Owens, showing that, hey, Strowman is a superhuman monster, but at least people can bring a fight to him and they're not going to be squashed all the time, which is nice to know. And the fact is, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will have stuff to think about over the course of the next few weeks. And, well, you know why? Because, well, other matches come through, you'll know what I mean when I say that. Because Sami Zayn and Balor and Reigns, while that's a good match, Jinder Mahal interfering to get Reigns out of it was fantastic. The match with Zayn and Balor, which went through the entire triple threat pretty much, I would like to see a singles feud between the two, that would be lovely. But the match just kind of, I don't know, just felt like it wasn't getting out of first gear, despite the incredible statement of athleticism we saw from Balor and Zayn. I thought the match felt more cryptic than it could have been, and I was basically expecting Roman Reigns to win. The fact he didn't was a surprise, but the fact Jinder Mahal cost him means that, oh, okay, they can't have Roman lose clean, which means the match kind of loses its sense of anticipation. Balor's in the Money in the Bank ladder match, though, I can't complain, but the match didn't really hit all the heights it could have, especially if you've seen 3 matches already this night, which were really, really fantastic. The other things I need to mention that were really good, the Kurt Angle backstage segments involving Jinder Mahal, because I'll admit, Mahal's mic work has gotten better. Now that he's kind of dropped the xenophobic anti-Indian shtick, he's actually done alright. Anti-Indian, anti-American shtick, he's actually done pretty good for himself. It works out naturally, it comes across as whiny and complacent, and it's good. And Kurt Angle just played the mindless, clueless, but obviously their babyface to a T, while also giving Goldust and Zack Ryder a chance to be entertaining, which is exactly what you want from a guy who's naturally as entertaining as you can get in Kurt Angle. It set up Jinder Mahal attacking Roman Reigns later on in the evening, and of course we had the Jinder versus Chad Gable match, which, while entertaining on its own, if we hadn't have seen it a couple weeks ago, I probably would have gone nuts for it even more so. Then again, Gable looked fantastic despite losing. That's what you should have in this. And on the wrestling front, as you can tell this week, Raw did very well indeed. Apart from, well, No Way Jose and the Revival, Baron Corbin and Titus Worldwide in a meaningless tag match that really had me going none the wiser. That was really bad. But not bad enough for me to give it a strike, because the prospect of Corbin and the Revival as a faction makes me very, very happy, even though this was a one-off thing. I really would like to see that, because it'd be pretty damn fantastic. But now we get on to the really bad things on this show, the things that I really felt could have been wiped from the slate entirely. Now, this is not really a strike-worthy segment, but Ember Moon's promo after her victory was very cliched, and I feel that her mic skills aren't that great. She's okay at the mic skills, but she doesn't really convey much emotion, and being fed all these corny lines by WWE Creative just made it sound really, really insincere and not very truthful. And I just didn't really get behind it. In the ring, you are spectacular. I don't really feel confident about listening to you talk on the mic for the next few weeks building up this matchup. It's not really something I'm looking forward to. However, it was not as cringeworthy or as utterly painful as Bobby Lashley's interview. I liked the promo package before the interview. That was okay. I mean, you're twisting some truths by highlighting how popular Lashley was back then, because even I knew, with my naive mind back in 2005 through 06, through 07, that the fans really weren't getting into him. I could tell back then, and I didn't even know what a dirt sheet was. But this is the thing though, I can at least highlight that, yeah, you're stating his athletic accomplishments and what he has done and what he will do. Well, I say that. The latter wasn't really mentioned. Not in this interview. They highlighted his personal life. Is that his sisters bullied him, and that he's risen up through this and become a beast, and he's all happy. That why? You need to highlight what he wants to do, what are his ambitions, what is his intensity, what is his mindset going forward. You want to build personality by what you have in front of you. You don't build up his accomplishments and talk to this guy with a happy-go-lucky personality and then make him sound corny and non-sympathetic, because talking about your family on a wrestling show, unless you've got a reason to fight for them, makes no sense. This entire segment was a waste of time and did nothing to build Bobby Lashley up at all, which means it gets a strike. It's just horrible, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't. It was terrible. And I like Bobby Lashley. I always thought that he had potential to go somewhere in the business. And he kind of did. Did really well at TNA, and he's done decently in Bellator. But the fact is, and he also did pretty well here in the company too, but the fact is, if you're going to build him up right, at least, if he's apparently meant to be a heel, as noted by the reaction that Strowman got as well at Backlash, you're meant to not build him in a way that makes him look like a corny, sappy, smiling babyface, which never suited him in the first place, I may add. This entire thing is terrible. One of the worst segments I've seen on Raw in quite a long time. And if I'm putting up segments for worst of the year, come my Wrestling Rant awards, I am definitely going to put this one up for contention. There have been a couple that are really terrible. This is probably the cream of the crap, logically. And another strike was given to the most pointless match on the evening that I actually didn't enjoy. The Deleters of World vs. Axel and Dallas. Nothing really came of it. We didn't find out what Axel and Dallas' ring name were. And they weren't that spectacular in the ring either. At least the Titus Worldwide, No Way Jose, Baron Corbin revival match was somewhat entertaining for the different styles of wrestling that were in there. And the fact the teams gelled together well. At least I can live with that. This just felt like it was burying Axel and Dallas down a bit. And the tag champions, I hate their entrance. I really do. Because you could do what Deluxe Man does and remix the music together to create something awesome, rather than just doing one and then the other like you did with McIntyre and Ziggler. At least their match had hard-hitting, fantastic things to make them look good. Neither team came out of this one looking good, and it had no real purpose outside of just giving the champions someone to work with. And I'm going to give it a strike due to that. I'm not happy with that, and I will admit, despite some obvious good matches on this card, Raw dragged a lot during its promo segments. The phone segments were terrible, as they always are, because Bayley can't cut a promo no matter how hard she tries, which has sincerity and quality in it. I love Bayley, but that's her weakest bloody point. Ugh. And yeah, the segments overall didn't really do it for me, but it was the matches that saved this night for the most part. Let's see how SmackDown does, because I'm pretty sure they'll see blood in the water and want to take it with venom. When I said venom, I should have said something else like excitement, anticipation, or other buzzword adjectives that could have highlighted their desire to get one over on the red brand. The language is a bit messed up, as is my head recording at this time in the bloody morning. But that's what happens when you go to get this video out on time on a Thursday. Yeah, all's good, right? Now the blue brand had the similar issue of trying to throw as much wrestling as they could on the show. And, well, they managed to pair Raw up mostly in the in-ring quality this week. But the match that won the entire week, The Miz versus Jeff Hardy, oh my god, I said that Seth Rollins is on a roll and is probably the best wrestler going in WWE right now. The Miz ain't far behind, because I've never seen him so consistent in quality wrestling. When has this ever happened? It's ridiculous, and it shows that Miz is an MVP right now in WWE. People have been giving him crap for years, or at least mildly respecting his contributions to the mid-card, and now people can't take their eyes off him. Well done, Mr. Mizanin, you've done it well here. And this match, back and forth, crazy spots done, simple storytelling, it all just came together in one of the best TV matches we've seen all year. Stunning. And the good thing about this contest is that it was easy to see that you couldn't predict which man was going to win, the US champion or the guy who just wrestled one of the best matches of the year on pay-per-view the night or two before. You didn't know who was going to win this, and it really didn't matter who was going to win this, meaning you could have a lot more of anticipation towards seeing how they end it. It was a bit bungled, but at least it came out of it with Jeff Hardy looking strong and Miz looking resourceful as ever. I do find it slightly hilarious that they called Miz a wily veteran, because what the hell does that make Jeff Hardy then? Because he has been going longer than the Miz has. The little attention to detail sometimes WWE you need to kind of get right. But the match itself was the best thing on WWE television this entire week, and I will give my thumbs up to that and then some. What a contest! And the best promo that was cut this week, Shinsuke Nakamura again doing what he does best with Renee Young. Which obviously sounds terrible, we don't want Dean Ambrose going after him now. The fact is, he is hilarious and so conniving on the microphone that you laugh at just how simple it is. But then you realise just what content it has within it. It's so simple, it's so well executed with just sound of the voice and body language. He does so little but produces so much. The promo had me in stitches because it was so good. I wanted to hate the guy, but it was just so bloody entertaining. There's the thing here. If a heel can make himself out to be a dick while also making me feel like I'm being entertained, that's how it should be. I want to hate you, which I do, but I'm also loving your appearances. That's what a heel should do, at least in the simplest terms. I mean, he can also get literal, legitimate heel heat, like the Iconics do, but I'll get to that in a bit. This segment was just, well, it was amazing. And it proves, once again, that even though Shinsuke can prove that he does speak English, at least he does it with a lot of charisma. And I say this every bloody time. He has a good piece of mic work, but he's just great. He's good in the ring and fantastic in the ring when he needs to be, but on the mic, I just love him. He's just fantastic. It's great. And another wrestling match that SmackDown had this week that I found to be very, very enjoyable. Xavier Woods versus Cesaro, which was much better than I was anticipating it to be, because I wasn't that impressed by Xavier Woods versus Sheamus a few weeks back, and well, the fact is, I love Cesaro, I do love Xavier Woods in the ring, so I was going to be blessed by something fun, and well, Cesaro got the win off of literally nothing, which I found fantastic. The interference of all the pancakes pissing off Sheamus at ringside, the athleticism from all considered, it was just over the top, crazy, and at the same time, utterly fantastic in the ring, so I can't complain anymore like that, can I? It's just brilliant. The matches this week, for the most part, top bloody draw. And this match, yeah, now it's even between the New Day and the Bar, so what's going to happen now? They have a massive Money in the Bank qualifier? Ooh, that'd be interesting actually, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Put that together, that'd be good. And the tag team division, as they kept saying, is lit. So many good teams on this show. They need to use them all though. I'm wondering how they're going to do that. That's what we're going to find out in the next few months, isn't it? Now, the honourable mentions. Speaking of the Bar, they had a segment backstage where they kind of bickering over the losses to Xavier Woods and wanting to fight them this week, and which set up the match, which was lovely. The use of pancakes and just Sheamus's body reactions and facial expressions. Just eating Lucky Charms. The only thing that will make him happy after last week. Daddy, it's a stereotype and I'll take it, but it was really fun. Then they found pancakes in their bags, which, again, mindless fun, watching heels be angry. That's what you want to see. You want to see some faces get the upper hand on the heels, which spurns the heels on to do more bad things. That's simple, old-fashioned storytelling, and that's good. That's good stuff, people. Love it. And, well, speaking of segments, we had Charlotte versus Payton Royce, which as a match was pretty good, but the promo before this Money in the Bank qualifier outshined all of it. Because, seriously, Payton Royce and Billie Kay are two of the best women on the mic right now. There is no question about that, because they can deliver intensity, emotion, and, well, enough sass and infuriation in the fans to give them actual heel heat. It's not go away heat, they're being booed because the fans do not like them. They're really, really bitchy, and I love it, because as a heel team, they're getting the exact reaction you want, and it is great. Too bad it overshadowed the match, because the match was good. It was solid. Charlotte won in the end. I can't really say much more, to be honest. It was what it was. The promo was better than the match, but that's just my opinion, despite how good it was in total. The Daniel Bryan-Rusev match, as great as that was, it's one thing that I've noticed that I'm slightly apprehensive about, and that plays into his promo as well backstage, is that they're building Daniel Bryan by pushing him down. Okay, I'm not sure how that works, but I'm happy for Rusev. I'm happy that he's got a place in Money in the Bank. The match was back and forth, and Rusev showed his aggression to wear a beaten and broken down Bryan. At least it had the story in there. But at the same time, the idea that they're just pushing Daniel Bryan down and not really allowing him to showcase some success, while that's understandable given the story that Bryan hasn't wrestled much in the last 2 years, and therefore the rust will show, despite the fact he won on pay-per-view, he's not going to be winning everything. At least that makes some sense, but the way they're going about it, throwing his underdog status even more into highlight than it should be, is ridiculous. Because he's not an underdog anymore. He's a bona fide legend, a guy who can go out there and wrestle anybody. He's not an underdog anymore. Rusev's more an underdog because he keeps being fed to people who kick his ass every week, and people want to see Rusev succeed. You can see the difference here. The match was good, but what we get out of it is a little perplexing, and it kind of overshadowed what the match was trying to tell. And I might be happy for Rusev, but is he going to win Money in the Bank? If he does he end up losing it? Does he end up going to Raw to cash it in? Because that's now a possibility. You know, there's a lot they can do with this, but the way they went about this was a little bit perplexing, and I'm not really happy about it, despite the match being good. So there's a good and a bad side to it. And finally, I have to mention this, because unlike Raw, the phone promos were good. I know, it's ridiculous. Despite the fact there was a little bit of text, for Asuka, I can kind of let it slide, because her words really aren't that spectacular, and they're very, very, very monochromatic and simple. This, however, meant that, okay, it makes her stand out if she can shout and make text appear on the screen. It made a little more sense to me. But all of the phone promos on SmackDown this week were done with energy, and it made them feel interesting. Not just looking like they were poorly scripted and poorly delivered backstage. SmackDown delivered good phone promos for the first time since this entire shebang was started. Yeah, thumbs up from me, that's worth talking about. And the fact is, SmackDown was so good this week, there weren't that many bad points. Mandy Rose versus Becky Lynch was a throwaway contest that, okay, we got the shock surprise of Lynch losing again, and Mandy actually winning with the commentary of Corey Graves making the match more than the actual in-ring work did. That guy was fawning over Mandy Rose so much you'd think he'd not want to be doing so on air, because I think he has a wife and a child, so why would you do that? Your wife made me suspicious. Look what happened with JoJo and Bray Wyatt. You don't want to get in that road. The thing is, the match was forgettable, the result was surprising, but nothing really came for it, and what's the point of making a really popular woman in Becky Lynch lose? It's the same thing with Daniel Bryan. What's the point of making him lose if you're not going to do anything with it? Same with Becky here. I don't get it. But the segment that I really hated, the one that's going to get the lone strike on this show, is the Paige segment that kicked the whole night off. Yeah, it started with a really bad segment. You're highlighting what matches are on tonight, which we were told on the graphics on the TV. Therefore, it loses any sort of use. Then you highlight that Backlash was a smashing success. No. If the SmackDown matches were the best on the show, which in one case, in most cases they were, and the fact that SmackDown guys came out winning, in which case most of the time they didn't, especially into promotional matches, you know what that means? It means you're telling lies. You're wrapping history up in a nice little bow to facilitate your programming and marketing, and yet all you're doing is making Paige look like she basically was being brainwashed into believing it was fantastic. I gave it a 3.25 out of 10 for God's sake. It wasn't a great show. It was poor. And you can tell that she was just told, just say it was great. Because people who don't know any better will believe you. People who know wrestling won't believe you. And that segment just soured the whole evening. Because I know Paige is a good person at cutting mic. She's great at speaking. She can give energy and real bite when needed. But this role as general manager doesn't leave her a lot of room. She has to call it by the books. And at the same time, she has to funnel the company line through her mouth hole. That's not nice. And I don't like it, because don't tell us a pay-per-view was amazing when it wasn't. I've been calling WWE out on this bull for years. If a pay-per-view is rubbish, just say so. Football journalists and commentators and pundits tell you when a match has been rubbish and not worth viewing. Don't make all of your programs look like they're the best thing in the world, because that'll make us look at them and say not so. And this entire promo had no purpose, because you didn't need to tell us all these matches that were happening on the show if we already knew them, and you didn't need to tell us that the show was great when it technically wasn't. This segment was pointless, and it got a strike for its troubles. The fact is, though, as you may be able to tell, it had one less strike than Raw, which means going into my final thoughts here, it's easy to see who won. Raw did alright. It had some problems with its non-wrestling segments, I'll admit that. But the wrestling was good enough to where, even with those promo strikes in tow, it wasn't completely unwatchable. Whilst with SmackDown, outside of that one segment at the beginning of the night, almost everything had a purpose, it ran through well with consistency, and I was enjoying almost everything I could have. Even though some of the matches were not as exciting as others, they still proved entertaining. So you know what that means? It means that SmackDown wins this week, and they bring the scores to 10-9 now. I never thought it would be anywhere close to this. Many months ago, back when in early March it was 8-2 to Raw. That's how good SmackDown has been since Fastlane to get everything back on track. Oh man. SmackDown doing good, and with your roster, Sanity on the way, Almas hasn't made his debut yet, you haven't figured out where you're going to insert Samoa Joe into proceedings, this is going to be fun. And I can tell you, SmackDown is entertaining as hell. Raw is too, but they need to iron out some things of their character building, and they could be onto a winner. They weren't this week, and it showed thusly. So SmackDown, congratulations! I'm hoping you can keep this run going as we've alternated between the two brands the last month. Let's hope they can build on it and create something good. Because at the moment, I'm liking that either show are fighting to keep my attention. I'm just hoping one can really start to put things into the stratosphere so I can revel in it some more. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Rant is over for this week. What did you think on both shows? Put your views in the comment section where I'll read them below and see if we agree. Most of the time we don't, but we will see. And of course, if you want to not miss out on anything, including an upcoming Friday flashback review of Survivor Series 1998 coming in a couple of weeks, all you have to do is click the subscribe button down there, and remember, click the bell icon so you are notified that nothing goes past your eyes, because you need these videos, do you? Well, if you do, click the damn button, because that's what's needed. And a cheeky like wouldn't go amiss either, because if you do enjoy my analysis, it's well worth doing so. I have been Freddie Thomas, you have been people watching. This has been another edition of Wrestling Rant for the CC Network, and I will see you all next time.